New national polling finds President Joe Biden and Donald Trump tied in November's general election matchup. These are snapshots, but the latest survey from Economist and YouGov, Trump and Biden are in a dead heat at 43% each among registered voters. The poll shows all third-party candidates, including Robert F. Kennedy Jr., getting 2% support or less. Meanwhile, a Marquette Law School poll of nationwide likely voters finds Biden at 52%, Trump at 48%, which is within the poll's margin of error. That's a reversal of the numbers the same poll found in February. And in the swing state of Pennsylvania, the latest Franklin and Marshall College poll finds Joe Biden at 48%, Donald Trump at 38% among registered voters. That falls within the poll's margin of error as well. Alex Thompson, with Israel, inflation, abortion, a lot of issues that could move voters one way or another between now and November. What do you make of these polls? Are there any trends that you are seeing standing out?
Absolutely. I mean, we're really in peak choose your own polling adventure season right now. But the truth is, I mean, you can find polls. You saw polls earlier this week that showed Trump ahead in Pennsylvania. But what we're really seeing over the last month is that Joe Biden has been closing that gap. And if you're Joe Biden, the thing that is really going to, make you a little bit more optimistic is that Trump's numbers really have not moved since the 4 years ago. And those numbers still remain under 50%. The truth is that it looks like there is sort of a non-MAGA majority in this country. The question is whether or not, with all of these divisions within the party, can Joe Biden really rally all those people? Can he really put down the threats of these third-party candidates, Cornel West hitting him on Palestine, RFK Jr., using that Kennedy name to really bolster himself? And the truth is, we really don't know. But you're going to see, Donald Trump is saying, well, were you better off 4 years ago? What he really means is, were you better off 5 years ago? And is really sort of depending on COVID amnesia, which the Joe Biden campaign is, I can tell you, going to spend a lot of money making sure that people remember the year that was 2020.
Yeah, nearly every day, the Biden campaign is putting out something saying, hey, 4 years ago today, Donald Trump did X. And it's almost always a disastrous response. I mean, Joe, Mika, the Pennsylvania poll certainly does seem like a bit of an outlier. We haven't seen 10-point spreads there or really in any battleground state this entire year. And it's a small sample size. But I do think it's worth noting some of the other polls. There are trend lines, as we talk about a lot on this show. And right now, Biden seems to have some momentum. I mean, the race is very close. We know that. These national polls are more or less a dead heat. Most battleground states either have Trump up a little or a dead heat. Biden has been up a little bit in Wisconsin of late. But there is a sense that the Biden campaign feels like they've got a lot of money on their side. And they also say they've got more votes to pick up. More of their voters are out there right now suggesting we're unhappy because of the situation in Gaza or because of student loans or whatever the issue is. They think they have more ability to grow that base of support. They feel like Trump is kind of already at his ceiling. And they've said all along, guys, that they feel like those independent swing voters will land with Biden. The more they hear Trump all year long, I think to themselves, we can't go back to that.
Yeah, Jen, that Franklin and Marshall, Pennsylvania poll, Franklin and Marshall, a good poll, and shows a 10-point lead. It certainly is an outlier. That said, we have trend lines. So many polls that have been coming out since the State of the Union have shown trend lines. And as you know better than anybody, it doesn't show up immediately. I mean, right after the State of the Union, Republicans are like, the State of the Union didn't make a difference. I've got to say, as far as defining moments go, that State of the Union was a defining moment because it blew up the lie that Republicans have been pushing and that Fox News pushes every day and that right-wing podcasters push every day, that Joe Biden's out of it, that Joe Biden's not cogent, that Joe Biden's not this and that. Let me tell you something. Joe Biden showed America, showed over 30 million people that he could give better than he even gets. He was on top of his game. He made the Republicans look foolish time and time again. And I guess the shock for me is that Republicans are always so stupid, first of all, to keep picking a loser as their nominee in Donald Trump. He just loses. But also, they always underestimate Joe Biden up until the point when they lose. And then they go, oh, my God, we underestimated him again.
They also underestimate the movement and of voters on issues like abortion access and other things that are motivating people. I will say in the post-State of the Union, it's important to remind everyone that after the State of the Union, the Republican talking point and the Fox News talking point was that Joe Biden was on drugs and needed to take a drug test. That's what they shifted to.
Oh my God.
Remember that? I think the other thing, though, that was an important marking point that was that same week or about in the week after is the realization among some voters, and this may be some of what we're seeing in a little bit of movement, although I don't think even the Biden campaign thinks they're up by 10 points in Pennsylvania, is that it became clear that Trump was the nominee. And that is something that the Biden team has been saying and will convey to anyone who asks them. They knew in advance of that during the primary that it still wasn't clear to voters. Now it's clear Trump is the nominee. And to them, that's an opportunity for them to bring people home, to convey to people Haley's not on the ballot, and to use what they have as a financial advantage, but also an organizational advantage, over the next couple of months. So we'll see how that works.
And Alex, one other thing we've seen is the Biden campaign's doing something that nobody's done to Donald Trump. And even the Biden campaign didn't do it that much in 2020. They're getting in his face constantly. They're mocking him. They're ridiculing him. He says, hey, I won my tournament, my golf tournament.
I don't think he gets it, though, when they tweeted back.
He may not get the mocking.
He does not get it.
But it is constant. It's mocking. And they're doing something, too, that I think, to Jen's point on abortion, absolutely devastating. They're using Donald Trump's own words as their most potent political weapon on abortion, on abolishing the Affordable Care Act, you name it. On Social Security, when Donald Trump said, yeah, maybe Social Security could be cut, they are going after him and using his own words against him and mocking him in a way that I think starting to show up in the polls.
Absolutely. I mean, as he often says, don't compare me against the Almighty, compare me against the alternative. And he's making sure that everyone knows the alternative. And, Jonathan has reported a little bit of this, too, where, this comes from the top down. Joe Biden has a visceral, I think it's fair to say, hatred of Donald Trump. And, this is more than just a political tactic. This is a raw, emotional distaste and hatred for the former president that's coming from Joe Biden. That's what you're seeing on the trail to make sure that everyone or as many Americans as possible feel the same way as he does.
Hey everyone, MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.